Christmas is just around the corner, and I'm testing those two bad boys out, the Vivo X100 Pro versus the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Which one is the king supreme in terms of cameras? Let's find it out and let's get started. So I'm home right now, but nevertheless, let's check out those two bad boys in terms of their camera specification. Triple lens setup on both, and very large sensors on the Oppo, and very interesting sensors here on the Vivo X100 Pro. And of course I'm going outside, going to the city center. We'll take some videos and photos there so we can compare those two cameras. And of course front-facing cameras are also very interesting. The Oppo finally can do 4K, not stabilized, but at least it is 4K. And I think we start off with the front-facing videos. Windows recording with the Vivo X100 Pro, and this one can only do 1080p 30 and 1080p 60 frames per second, and we don't have any options to zoom in or out, and no autofocus on this one here. What do you think about the quality anyway? Oppo Find X6 Pro, this one can record 4K 30 frames per second. Here has autofocus on the front-facing camera, and we even have a zoom slider, so I'm able to zoom in. This is like 1.4 times now, and I can zoom in to 0.8 times, but it's falling apart as soon as I start moving around because this doesn't have any stabilization. What do you think nevertheless of this one here? Vivo X100 Pro, and this one 1-inch type sensor, 4K 30, 4K 60 and 8K 30 frames per second recording capabilities, and I can switch during recording 4K 30 also to the ultra wide angle. So I'm here currently in the Go Asia shopping center, Asian shopping center here in Cologne. So what do you think about this one here? And of course if I want to zoom in on something, let's try to zoom in on something. We have 4.3 times zoom, which is pretty clear. As you can see here, you can read almost everything there. Nice. Now I'm recording with the Oppo Find X6 Pro. This one also has a 1-inch type sensor, the same kind of 1-inch type sensor. What do you think about the video quality here? 4K 30 frames per second. I also have the possibility to slide out. I have a slider now here to the ultra wide angle, so this is now the ultra wide angle. What do you think about this one here? How good is the quality? And of course I have also 3 times periscope zoom, so I have the ability to just zoom in. Just have to use the slider here, in this case 1 time, switch lenses, and at 3 times switch lenses I can go even to 6 times if I want to. Well, let's keep it at 4.3 times, roughly the same as the other one. So what do you think about the quality here? It's quite interesting to compare the Vivo X100 Pro against the Oppo Find X6 Pro with the front-facing cameras, because the Vivo X100 Pro looks on the screen very, very good and stable, but we only have 1080p on the front-facing camera here of the Vivo X100 Pro, and that shows, even though it is a very good 1080p, as you can see here, it is sharp and has a nice little bit of bokeh there as well. The Oppo Find X6 Pro is a tad better. We have 4K here, but we have a downside, a big, huge downside on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. As soon as I start playing that back, you will notice that we have a very shaky kind of camera, no electronic image stabilization. We have the flexibility on the Oppo, however, of zooming in and zooming out, wider field of view than on the Vivo X100 Pro. The Vivo X100 Pro has electronic image stabilization, but it's also very weak, I have to say, in comparison to some others. So especially here indoors, it has some issues. Nevertheless, both are pretty good here, but I would give the more flexibility, even though it's not really looking a lot better. The Oppo Find X6 Pro with its wider field of view offers a bit more flexibility. With its 4K it offers a little bit more flexibility, even though you have to in post-production stabilize it a bit. I think overall the video on the Oppo Find X6 Pro has like a tad better quality than the Vivo X100 Pro. But what do you think? Write it down in the comments. On the main cameras, what we can see here is the color difference. First of all, we have a little bit more punchy colors, a bit more yellowish, warmer colors on the X100 Pro, where it's getting a bit more reddish kind of color on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. The other thing that you notice is the Oppo Find X6 Pro is ultra sharp. I think it's like overdoing it with artificial sharpening a little bit here, where the Vivo X100 Pro in 100% looks a little bit more realistic, I would say. So not everything on my face is very sharp, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro, everything is sharpened to oblivion. So it's a lot sharper on the Find X6 Pro, but it's like artificial sharpening. I think the Oppo Find X6 Pro would work with like 2 notches down in terms of sharpening, then it would be, I think, even superior to the Vivo X100 Pro, that in this like dimlity kind of situation is a little bit too soft. Also, when we take a look at the stabilization, what we will notice is that the Vivo X100 Pro is pretty good, but the Oppo is simply on another level. So we have a little bit of an issue with stabilization, I think, on the Vivo. Let's go and switch to the ultra wide angle on both. And you will notice that the quality degrades quite a bit on the Vivo X100 Pro. The color has another shift there. It's a little bit less punchy kind of color. It's getting quite soft as well in this dimlit situation, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro, yes, it is probably because of the over sharpening that's also happening here, but the ultra wide angle with its very large sensor is, I think, working a little bit better there. And also what I think is that, maybe it's just me, but it looks to be that the Oppo is a bit wider than the Vivo there. When we go to 100% view, you can see here we have nice autofocus area. Everything is lit the same way, where the Vivo has a bit of problems with the exposure, and especially here this side and here this side, you can see that it's getting quite soft. So it's not like this one uniformity in terms of like bokeh and softness in the background that we have here on the Oppo. It's getting a bit softer. So the ultra wide angle I would definitely give to the Oppo for that matter. And let's check out the zoom lens then on both. That's also quite interesting, because I think the Vivo X100 Pro has this very nice 4.3 times zoom. On the Oppo I have to use the slider, which is like a little bit of an issue. And there we go. This is, I think, the native kind of zoom that we have on the Oppo. It looks okay, but it's also this little bit of more sharpening going on, denoising maybe as well, where we have nicer bokeh on the Vivo for sure. And if I go even to the same kind of like 4.3 times zoom, do we see much of a difference? In terms of colors, not so much, but directly what you will see is this is sharp and the background is sharp, where the Vivo X100 has only, X100 Pro only has the foreground sharp, the rest is like blurry already. So that's the difference in terms of photo length and also the sensor size probably. Though the sensor is very large on the Oppo as well, the Oppo, I think, is losing in terms of this zoom sensor here, at least in this case. So what do you think about the quality on both here? And what do you think about the impressions of the video recording? Let's take a look at portraits, especially for Christmas. Very interesting which phone you might want to take for taking portraits of your loved ones. I immediately going towards the Oppo Find X6 Pro. It's a bit warmer kind of color there, but also I don't have so much shadows on my face like on the Vivo X100 Pro here. This is like 2 times zoom on both, so it's basically a crop on the main sensor. And I like the better bokeh balls here on the Vivo X100 Pro, but it's making the sky look and everything a little bit bluish and greenish there, which is not at all what the sky looks like, because it's grayish right now outside, because it's like a bit of rainy. And yes, the Oppo Find X6 Pro is more accurate there. And yes, the lights in my room are on and are yellow and not like this whitish wish-wash that we have on the X100 Pro. When I zoom in, what we can clearly see is, yes, maybe the Oppo Find X6 Pro is over sharpening things up, but it looks a little bit more natural and more detailed on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Maybe it's a bit over sharpened there, but the Vivo X100 Pro is weird looking, because it's like trying to sharpen up my eyebrows here on the left side. On the right side it doesn't try to do it. I can see my eye colors here on the Oppo Find X6 Pro quite good, where it's completely wrong on the X100 Pro for some reason. And my beard is like equally sharp or less sharp, and here it's a bit weird. Some parts are like sharpened up on the Vivo and others are just out of focus there. It's a bit of a weird kind of game. Yes, I look a bit yellower here, but this just because the light is a bit more yellow. And in terms of sharpness and details, I think I would give it to the Oppo Find X6 Pro for this 2x zoom. And when we go in 3x and compare it with the native 4.3 times on the Vivo X100 Pro, we have the same kind of thing. I like the bokeh definitely on the X100 Pro, but when I zoom in here, the details are just simply not there. And on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, it is there. Look at my eye, look at the details there. It's just simply mind-blowing, even though there are sometimes probably it's like a bit over sharpening as well and doing some stuff there. But also the shadow cast and so on, it is, even if I look a little bit reddish there, here's a bit overexposed. I prefer the Oppo Find X6 Pro, and all the other portrait shots I did of people that I photographed that don't want to be shown here on YouTube. They also like the Oppo Find X6 Pro a lot better, because when you crop in, you have these details there still. I can just crop into this one here and get like almost the same kind of cutout as on the Vivo X100 Pro, and still have a bit more details there for sure, and nicer pleasant colors. This is now the 85mm, which is much more comparable to the Oppo Find X6 Pro. What is it, 65 that they have, like 65mm, yes. But also still, again, a little bit more bokeh on the Vivo X100 Pro. I think it was set to f2, and the Oppo Find X6 Pro was set to f2.8 there as virtual bokeh. So that's the major issue. But look at the detail here. My right eye is completely out of focus, not sharp. The left eye is not sharp. The eyebrow is sharpened up. I think Vivo still has to work on this one, and yeah, this is a clear win here for the Oppo Find X6 Pro when it comes to portraits. So my suggestion when you're going out and you're deciding between Vivo X100 Pro or Oppo Find X6 Pro for Christmas photos, Christmas Eve photos or something like this, I would take the Oppo Find X6 Pro for sure. So let's take a look at the photos. I've taken a lot of photos between those two. The Vivo X100 Pro always on the left and the Oppo Find X6 Pro always on the right. Main camera, do we see a difference here? HDR is almost equally good, but we have a bit more contrasty look on the Vivo X100 Pro. You can see it on the tower in the background. That is a bit more contrasty on the Vivo X100 Pro. Also here the texts are a little bit darker and more contrasty looking, especially on this car. And when we go into the sides here, you can also see much more contrasty kind of look, where here we have a little bit of a haze going on. And here the darks are a bit more crushed and darker. It's a bit more sharpened up on the Vivo X100 Pro by default as well, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro keeps it a little bit more real. This can have good points, but also negative points. Look at this balcony there. You cannot almost see anything inside there, where here you can see a little bit more there, which is like one of those things that you can see. Otherwise, sharpness and detail, yes, a bit sharpened up on the Vivo X100 Pro, but the rest is basically the same. Ultra wide angle, very interesting, because HDR here I think is almost on par. It's a bit brighter on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, but it's not the HDR, I would say. I think it's just simply because we have more contrast again on the Vivo X100 Pro that we don't have so much on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. In terms of details, very, very similar. A bit more bluish kind of tint on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, where it's a bit more greenish here looking on the X100 Pro. There's something going on wrong with the colors, however. The Vivo X100 Pro, more towards turquoise here, like more the greenish kind of blue on this little Dixie toilet housing. And here it's a bit more bluish. It is more towards the Oppo Find X6 Pro than the Vivo X100 Pro, but still both are not accurate in these terms. Otherwise, the same goes for this blue car here. You can see also a big difference, a bit more bluish on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. When we go to the extreme edges, both 50mm by the way, let me go maybe to this extreme edge there. We can clearly see the difference here in terms of sharpness. The Oppo Find X6 Pro keeps it relatively sharp, again a bit noisy for sure, but the Vivo X100 Pro is getting very soft here towards the edges, and this is something that you can see on both edges basically, where it's a bit softer on the Vivo X100 Pro. So the ultra wide angle I think is a big win for the Oppo Find X6 Pro. This kind of situation here taken with the 4.3 times zoom and the Yeah, a little bit cropped in. I think also 4.3 times zoom on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. We see, I think, a little bit better handling of HDR, shooting directly against the sun with the Vivo X100 Pro. Also, the zoom sensor seems to be a bit better. Look how it's handling this one here. And here's just a bit overexposed on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Also, we have a bit of noise already on the Oppo Find X6 Pro that we don't have on the Vivo. So I think this is a win for the Vivo for sure. Selfies, very, very similar. Not much of a difference there. We have a bit of a different kind of approach in noise handling. So we have almost no noise on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, a bit soft. And we have a bit of noise on the Vivo X100 Pro for sure. In terms of sharpness and details, on par. There's not much of a difference there. Also with the background. Yeah, Timmy here and his clothes, for example, shot with the 4.3 times zoom, and I think here it was the 4 times zoom on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. The Oppo seems to be a little bit sharper here, what is quite interesting. Might be sharpening things up, but it looks a bit sharper. The dog looks a bit sharper there all over the place with its little kind of close on. 10 times zoom versus 10 times zoom. Do we see much of a difference here? First of all, colors. We have much more brighter colors on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, where the Vivo X100 Pro looks a bit, again, too contrasty, I would say. In terms of detail level, however, I think on this little sign, the Vivo is a tad better. We can see a bit of processing going on the Oppo. When I go down here, it's almost the same. Not much of a difference besides like the contrasty kind of look on the Vivo X100 Pro. This is a very stylish photo, I think, with the sun out and the moon still there. And I took this with the cinematic mode or cinematic portrait filter on the Vivo X100 Pro, which looks very fantastic. And I think the Oppo Find X6 Pro has a movie filter there as well. That is also very fantastic. So what the Oppo does here is make everything a little bit more yellowish, and the contrasty kind of look adds to it. We have a bit of more bluish kind of color, more neutral kind of colors on the Oppo Find X6 Pro in terms of detail level and so on. Both basically on par. I would even give it a slight edge to the Oppo Find X6 Pro here in this case, because we are using here 6 times zoom on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, and we are using 4.3 times on the Vivo X100 Pro. And I think the real optical zoom on the Vivo is a little bit better than the non-optical, more hybrid kind of zoom on the Oppo. Let's go to the city center Cologne, and at Christmas time it's packed usually, but when you go one of the side streets, then you also find not so packed streets like this one, for example, non-main street basically. What we can see with the main camera sensor is tons of contrast added on the Vivo X100 Pro. Is looking a little bit weird, I have to say, to see such contrast. It's almost hyper contrast and hyper sharpening applied there. And this leads a little bit to weird kind of colors, like this red, for example, is wrong. This is more accurate for sure on the Oppo. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty good photo, and both are very, very detailed and very close together. Not much of a difference here, besides like the more contrasty and punchy look on the Vivo that we don't have so much on the Oppo. Here you can, by the way, see the street signs and where I was there. Let's go into a shop for Christmas, shopping for Christmas presents, of course. Here with the ultra wide angle, we can see, I think, a slightly overexposure on the Vivo X100 Pro, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro's ultra wide angle is handling this a little bit better, especially the lights there in the background that are a bit overblown on the Vivo X100 Pro in terms of detail level and so on. We are very, very comparable. The Oppo has the more pleasant colors because this is a bit overexposed there. And when we go again towards the sides, it's clear that especially in this lower lit situation, even if it's like bright there with all the lights, we can clearly see the Oppo Find X6 Pro is better there in terms of like edge sharpness. So it's less unsharp than the Vivo X100 Pro. That's quite soft getting towards the edges. So also here, the prices, this is more accurate in terms of the red that you really see there than what the Vivo does here. Vivo was in its Zeiss mode in this case, which is quite interesting. So it's not the vivid mode that we had usually, and the Oppo Find X6 Pro was in its normal mode. Zoom lens again 4.3 times versus 3 times. I think this is no competition. The 4.3 times wins. Here we have more contrasty look, and We have a bit of haze going on, weird look. It looks a little bit like 2D, where here it's like more 3D kind of look, which it actually was. So yes, the Vivo is winning there again. Here also bokeh test 4.3 times. It just looks very, very nice with this bokeh, and the sharpness is there. This is 3 times on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Sharpness is relatively similar. There's not much of a difference. The bokeh is a bit different here. As you can see, if I go to 6 times hybrid zoom, it gets like very, very close together. Here also the colors are very, very close. Not much that you can see of a difference. Bokeh is like interestingly, I think, a bit better on the Vivo still. But it's very close in this dimlit inlet situation. 6 time hybrid zoom versus 6 times on the Vivo X100 Pro. And let's take a look at this nutcracker here. And you can clearly see it's looking a bit more detailed on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, where it's a bit more smoothened up on the Vivo X100 Pro. I think it's a bit of noise creeping in on the Oppo that is just kept in, where the Vivo X100 Pro tries to eliminate the noise. And you can clearly see it also here to the nutcrackers on the top right shelf there. It's a tad sharper on the Oppo, but it's very, very close together here. Then at the Asian supermarket, Go Asia. Yeah, someone also wants to go to Asia and eat some nice food. Anyway, if you want to read what's in the teriyaki sauce here, both are doing a fine job at 10 times. And in this case, I would not even say there's a winner. There's a bit more contrasty and darker look on the Oppo Find X6 Pro, but the Vivo is doing a very nice job as well. So there's not much of a difference that you can tell between those two. And yeah, maybe towards down here we can see it's a tad sharper on the Oppo, but it is 10 times. It's almost, they're the same. It's the same at this 10 times. Ultra wide angle again, it's a little bit sharpened up on the Vivo X100 Pro artificially that you can see. It's also doing this on the Oppo, but not so strong. And when we go towards the edges, especially here the edges, we can clearly see again the superiority of the Oppo Find X6 Pro ultra wide angle. It's a bit sharper there. It's a bit soft on the Vivo X100 Pro. It's not a huge difference, but I would say, yes, you can see also a little bit more punchy colors on the Oppo, where it's a bit dull colors on the Vivo X100 Pro. So overall, I would give the ultra wide angle definitely for the Oppo. Selfies, very interesting. Here I think the Vivo is doing a better job, less contrasty kind of look on my face, and I think also in terms of detail level and color on my and details in my eye, for example, my pupil, you can see that this is getting too dark on the Oppo, and Oppo is like losing here against the Vivo. In the dark, however, selfies here, when you compare it, we have a bit of noise going on here. And yeah, which one would you prefer? I think the Oppo is doing a little bit of artificially sharpening things up, artificially adding some kind of details that was not there. The Vivo is handling this very nice, very, very comparable. However, when they're using their selfie screen or their screen as flash, you can see, I think the Vivo looks a little bit more artificial, where the Oppo looks a bit more real in this case. And here HDR handling, very similar, but I think the Vivo has better HDR handling. First of all, it's a warmer color that is true to what those stars are really. And the Oppo has it a little bit like cooler, more whitish kind of color, but in general, both are doing a fine job, and we have nice bokeh balls there in the background as well. Nighttime photos here outside of my window. It was rainy the whole day, so I couldn't go out. So please excuse this, but it's shortly before Christmas and I cannot leave. You hear my baby crying in the background. She's actually not crying. She's playing and complaining about not having her pacifier in her mouth. There we go. And yeah, what you can see is clearly we have like a little bit of more details on the Vivo X100 Pro. I think the sensor is more optimized there. And also here, the color is very interesting, because I think it's a bit too signally red here on the Oppo, where the color on the Vivo is more accurate. And you can see also that the details are a bit there, more on the Vivo X100 Pro, but they're very close together here. Where the Vivo beats the hands down the Oppo Find X6 Pro is nighttime with the telezoom lens. So the Vivo X100 Pro's 4.3 times, you can see the water tower here, and a little bit of details. If I zoom in, it's just like mushy, but Oppo Find X6 Pro is completely black there, so you don't see much there of a difference, which is like, yeah, both not very pleasant, but the X100 Pro is definitely better. At 10 times zoom, we have a different approach. Again, the Vivo X100 Pro heavily on realizing computational photography and computational trying to reconstruct text there, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro keeps the noise in and tries also to optimize a little bit of the text, but keeps it more real there in this case. In terms of colors, however, I think the Oppo has an edge there, where the Vivo is a little bit too warmish kind of and too artificial yellow there. Yeah, in the next photos we can also see that the ultra wide angle is also better, because we have like this aquarium that has usually white light, not greenish light, as you can see here on the Vivo X100 Pro. It was the only one lighting up the room. And yeah, as you can see here, this is more accurate again. The ultra wide angle is winning again with colors, and detail level is almost on par. I would say not much of a difference. Again, with going towards the edges a bit softer on the Vivo X100. I think she wants also to comment on this. Anyway, these are all the photos here. On which one you like better? I think the Vivo X100 Pro at nighttime has a little bit of a better main camera sensor. Otherwise, it's very comparable with the Oppo Find X6 Pro, on par. Ultra wide angle is a win for the Oppo. Zoom is a win for the Vivo. That's my conclusion out of all those photos. And now let's go to the ranking. Conclusion and ranking. And yeah, my daughter is with me here, so maybe she will join in. Nevertheless, TLDR, Oppo Find X6 Pro gets 4.425 points, and the Vivo X100 Pro gets 4.435 points. Spoiler alert, you already knew this because this score didn't change. Where the score changed is the Oppo Find X6 Pro. I raised the value of the front-facing camera because I think with Android 14 and ColorOS 14 that is rolling out step by step now to the Oppo Find X6 Pro. The front-facing camera has improved a little bit and is on par now with the front-facing camera of the Vivo X100 Pro. This is why I'm giving 4.1 points here. So if you saw one of my earlier videos about the Oppo Find X6 Pro, I changed this score here, and yes, the front-facing camera has now 4.1 points. Where we can clearly see the difference is the ultra-wide angle. We have more points here on the Oppo, 4.4, where the ultra-wide angle on the Vivo X100 Pro is a little bit weak in comparison, especially going soft towards the edges, having a bit of dull colors there, and yeah, weird colors sometimes as well. So the ultra-wide angle is a win for the Oppo. On the other hand, basically the complete opposite is the zoom camera quality, because here I think the Vivo X100 Pro manages to get the right kind of zoom equivalency. So with 4.3 times zoom, we have enough reach for also getting a very good 10x zoom, where the Oppo Find X6 Pro with 3 times zoom, which is I think a crop of 2.8 times or 2.9 times zoom only, we have a little bit of a reach issue there. Even though at 6 times it still looks good, I think at 10 times the zoom range of the Vivo X100 Pro is usually a little bit better, even though they were very close here also in a dimlit situation. I think the zoom lens, especially when it comes to bokeh and the quality here, beats the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Where the Oppo Find X6 Pro has an edge is portrait, however, because portrait's 100mm portrait 4.3 times zoom on the Vivo X100 Pro is a bit a stretch. You have to step back a little bit. I noticed when photographing my baby, photographing my dog, I have to go a little bit back. I'm not used to this, so maybe it's just an issue of mine, but all the other camera phones have usually for portraiture and good portraiture other lenses. Yes, you have 85, you have 50mm on the Vivo X100 Pro as well. 50mm is working fine, but 85mm is quite soft. And here the Oppo Find X6 Pro, especially in portraits, is better than the Vivo X100 Pro with its 3 times dedicated zoom that usually gives superior photos. And this is the one that I would take for Christmas shots. I told you already, in this like usually dimlit situation, the larger sensor is working nicer, gets me sharper shots, and I can crop in later if I need to and still have nice sharp shots. Especially in dimlit situations, it's very, very helpful to have a larger sensor to have nice sharp shots. Either you have noisy shots that are kind of sharp, or you have those on the Vivo X100 Pro Usually quite a little bit of blurry shots where the details of the face, especially the eyes, are not really sharp, which is a bit of a bummer. When it comes to video recording quality, both very, very good. But I think I give it a slight edge here to the Oppo Find X6 Pro. Not because it's worse on the Vivo X100 Pro. The main camera sensor, for example, is I think a bit better because it's not sharpening things up so much and handles HDR a bit better. Exactly, handles HDR a little bit better. But the ultra wide angle is one win for the Oppo Find X6 Pro for video recording, because the quality is really, especially in this dimlit situation indoors, you can clearly see it. The Oppo Find X6 Pro is better there than the Vivo X100 Pro. And for the front-facing video, I like 4K a little bit better. And if I have it static, both static, yes, the Vivo doesn't look so bad, but the Oppo has a very good ace up its sleeve. It has autofocus. So if I want to do like a vlog style of where I have my tripod sitting on my desk, the Oppo is winning because we have this autofocus on the front-facing camera and 4K on the front-facing camera, which is really a win here for me. You can, of course, say if I only take into account main camera footage and zoom camera footage, then definitely the Vivo would win. But when I have to take into account the ultra-wide angle, I have to take into account the selfie as well, it would be the Oppo Find X6 Pro. But together with the very good main camera sensor that is very comparable, a bit weaker than the Vivo X100 Pro, but still good, and the same goes for the zoom, I have to give it to the Oppo Find X6 Pro in terms of video recording quality here. What do you think about this one? Because many people were in my 4K 60 frames per second video praising the Vivo for its possibility to switch between all lenses. But come on, let's be honest, who is recording 4K 60 frames per second all the time? And especially switching lenses then. 4K 30 is, I think, the current standard here. I might change this in the future, maybe the video recording quality, and raise it a bit up on the Vivo X100 Pro. But I think also the more contrasty kind of look sometimes looks a little bit bad on the Vivo. So if Vivo is updating this video performance a bit, I would give it gladly also the same kind of points as the Oppo Find X6 Pro. But for now, it's the Oppo Find X6 Pro that I would take for video. What is your opinion? Autofocus performance is the same. Front camera performance is the same. I like the camera UI on the Vivo a lot better than the one on the Oppo. Oppo is like a little bit limited here and there. Yes, you have a movie mode, but you don't have a pro video mode. The movie mode is limited to certain aspect ratio, and some features are missing. Focus speaking, I think, is not there, for example, and some other options are just simply missing in the UI. Quick settings, quick toggles. Yes, you can swipe down in photo mode, for example, but the UI is like not very thumb friendly because all the elements then appear on the top, and you just have to use a different hand then to click one of those elements or options on the top. Where the Vivo handles that a little bit better, and you have more one-handed usage with it, and it's a little bit easier to use it on the Vivo for sure. So the Vivo UI is a bit better. Extra features is the same. The Vivo has like some features, like for example, I can turn even completely off the noise reduction for video, which leads to a very sharp kind of video that could even rival the Oppo Find X6 Pro in this case, and yeah, might be the reason why I would give it maybe perhaps a little bit higher score for video recording quality later on. But this is something I have to see still and test out. Otherwise, yeah, some other extra features include the possibility to use Bluetooth devices or to control with Bluetooth devices the recording, stopping and starting recording, and you can explicitly choose this in the settings. Some nice features that we have on the Vivo X100 Pro. So yes, the Vivo X100 Pro has the more sophisticated and more advanced camera application with extra features. So where does it end up in ranking? Let's take a look at the ranking list, and here we can see the current ranking list for Christmas 2023. Huawei Mate 60 Pro and Vivo X100 Pro at the top with both 4.435 points. When you only take a look at the main camera sensor, it would be definitely a win for the Vivo X100 Pro. The Oppo Find X6 Pro, however, is on the same kind of level, same kind of main camera quality. The ultra-wide angle is a bit better. However, the Vivo X100 Pro has the better zoom camera quality photo here of all those three. And video recording quality is the weak spot at the Vivo X100 Pro currently, with its too much contrast added there. Yes, it is pretty good, but I think it should be a little bit better. And I like Huawei Mate 60 Pro and Oppo Find X6 Pro a little bit better because they don't have this contrasty, over contrasty kind of look that also suffers the Google Pixel 8 Pro suffers from. So overall, very, very good score here. And yes, the Oppo Find X6 Pro is losing against the Vivo X100 Pro, but you can see here, yeah, by a very, very short margin, and it depends on really what you want to do. Like I said, Christmas Eve, I'm definitely taking the Oppo Find X6 Pro because for portrait photos, the photo length there is working just simply better for me. And the Vivo X100 Pro will stay at home, but the Vivo X100 Pro is definitely something that I will take when I'm like visiting city that I don't know, want to take some photos, getting some things, some landscape shots. Definitely I would take the Vivo X100 Pro in this case. Also street photography I could imagine would be working a little bit better with the Vivo X100 Pro. With the quick ability to also switch between 23, 35, 48 megapixel millimeters, which yeah, I think is also a possibility on the Oppo, but yeah, the Vivo has a bit more flexibility with its 4.3 times zoom reach there. And also the vintage film filter, something like this, looks very, very cool and strong. So overall, very good smartphones. And yeah, the Vivo X100 Pro on the top here right now, but the Oppo Find X6 Pro is no slouch either. So very, very good smartphones here. And yeah, we're coming to the end of this comparison here. And yeah, this year, not completely this year, but yeah, I can already wish you Merry, Merry Christmas. Have some fun, have some nice holidays, and then hopefully we'll see each other then, or you will see my videos then, either after the holidays or in the new year. I'm trying to get out some other videos still that I have on my to-do list, like the Xperia 1 Mark V that I want to do an updated ranking here for sure. Especially the zoom camera quality has improved a lot there, so I want to do a video about that as well. And of course the Honor Magic OS 8 has been yeah, released as beta version. I want to have a sneak peek there as well. We'll give you a video over the holidays as well. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. You like this video, thumbs up and subscribe. Have a nice Christmas or happy holidays, and until the next time, bye.